Welcome to the Lean Solutions Podcast. This is the podcast that adds value to leaders by helping you improve performance using process improvement solutions with bottom line results. My name is Patrick Adams, and this season I'll be joined by three other amazing hosts, including Catherine McDonald from Ireland, Andy Ulrich from Australia, and Shane Doffenbaugh from the United States. Join us as we bring you guests and experiences of lean practitioners from all over the world. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Lean Solutions Podcast, led by your hosts, Catherine McDonald and myself, Patrick Adams. How's it going, Catherine?
Great, Patrick. Great. How are you?
I'm doing great, enjoying the beautiful sunshine outside today. Let's dive into our topic. I'm excited to have a conversation with our guest today. Today we're going to be talking about 2-second lean. So embracing the philosophy of 2-second lean opens the door to a transformative approach in operational excellence. 2-second lean was introduced by Paul Akers in his book, 2-second lean. The methodology has become a guiding light for organizations seeking efficiency and excellence in their processes. Applying 2-second lean is not just a strategy, it's a mindset that empowers teams to identify and eliminate even the smallest inefficiencies, fostering a culture of perpetual improvement. In this journey towards leaner operations, organizations unlock the potential for sustained growth and enhanced productivity, making the application of 2-second lean a cornerstone for success in today's dynamic business landscape. Catherine, you want to introduce our guest today?
Yes, so I'm very excited. Today's guest is Alex Ramirez. Alex is a highly experienced vice president in the oil and gas industry. And Alex brings over a decade of experience in manufacturing and lean principles. With a focus on eliminating waste and fostering continuous improvement, he has held key roles in many different places and in many different industries, such as industrial director and lean deployment manager. His leadership includes significant contributions to lean process improvement and transformation. And with a passion for team growth and development, Alex is a dedicated leader with a proven track record of success. So welcome to the show, Alex.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Patrick.
Absolutely. We're excited to have you on the show, Alex. This is your first time on the Lean Solutions Podcast. So I'll just kind of maybe turn it to you to introduce a little bit about your background, maybe your history, how you got into the oil and gas industry. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So I've been in the oil and gas business for 23 years with the same company. And I've learned a lot of things about lean, so I thought. And it was more about the tools. If you know where I'm coming from, it was a lot to do, how to do value stream mapping and the Six Sigma and the Paretos and all of these things that are great. It's a great start and a great way to understand, how to see some of the waste. But there was a very key point that turned my career and my life into a lean. And that was back in 2019 and the pandemic. We were doing what we call the continuous improvement teams. And for some reason, it just didn't click that I wanted more results than I was obtaining by managing the operations of the company. And it was quite frustrating. And one of my visits to one of our plants in Louisiana, I asked our plant manager, why is it that we don't get these kind of results that, we are all thriving? And he was a very honest guy. That's why I put him in that position that I could trust. And he frankly just told me right in my face, we're just, doing a pony show. We are just making you happy. At least we want that when you come, you are pleased that what we're doing is right. We're playing the formula. And again, we knew a lot about the tools, but I did not know how to unleash the potential of people. I knew how to respect people. I knew how to motivate people, but how to unleash the potential of each individual in the company, that was really not taught to me. So I come back and I said, I'm so sorry. Let me think about this. I'll get back to you. And I just thought about it through several weekends. And I had an engineer that came from Brazil. and I asked him, well, his role was really about applying all the tools and lean into the company. And each plant normally has this kind of guru for lean. And he said, Alex, there is one thing that you might like, but if I show you that, you're not gonna even listen to me anymore. So I said, no, absolutely. Let's take a look at it. And he presented me to 2-second lean. The videos from Paul Akers.
Right.
So my first impression was, this carpenter, it's probably too easy. That's too simple. We need something, sustainable. I probably cannot follow that. And I kept looking at his videos, and I read his book one time, and it kind of shook me, and I read it a second time, and I thought, well, wait a minute, this is kind of interesting. I read it a third time, and looking at his videos, there was one video that mentioned, if you want the Fast Cap experience, which is his company over in Bellingham, Washington, send me a video. And maybe, if you deserve it and you're serious and you're the leader of a company that wants to really learn about this, we'll invite you over. Of course, it was the pandemic, so it was a little bit difficult, but I sent them the video. I said one morning to my engineer, come, let's do a video and see if maybe we get picked. Who knows? What is the odds? What do we have to lose?
Right.
We did the video. Paul Akers, 15 minutes, he answered back. He said, you're the perfect candidate to come and look at what we're doing. Except that the pandemic is not going to let us come and make that visit.
Sure.
But we've been in contact ever since. So what is it, 5 years already? 4 and some change. So it's been intensive, daily, I would say daily exchanges with him and his community that he has created, which is wonderful. And the rest is history.
Wow. What a great story. I love, and I'm excited to hear a little bit more about what that's looked like since you've connected with Paul. So I actually had a conversation with Paul, and he brought your name up and said, you need to talk to Alex, get him on your show, and get him out to your summit, because he needs to tell the story of transformation that's happening within his organization. So I'm excited to hear a little bit more about that, but I want to back up a little bit and just for our listeners' sake, how did you even get into lean? What was the company that you're in currently in the oil and gas industry? Was that your first exposure to lean, or where did your knowledge of the tools come from?
Absolutely. So the company I've been with, it's already 23 years. So we encouraged into the lean, and it was very, very positive. We've done a lot of great projects. And consultants have come in and taught us a lot of tools and do workshops. So that's been 15 years through that, a very good push, a very good learning on that. But I always thought about it as tools, and it was interesting, but for me, it wasn't really motivating, to be honest. It was a little boring. I knew it was important, but it just ended up to be tools. So I left it at that. I'm a very technical guy. I manage technical departments worldwide. And I say this humbly, they have considered me one of their top experts on a certain process that is important to the company. And so I was very focused on the competitive advantage that a company is going to have is their products and their technology and their process. And it is very important, but boy, was I wrong. It's not only that, it is the people is the most important strategy to any competition. If you have developed your people and you get them to have a thinking of a lean mindset, that is incredible. It's a machine that you cannot stop. Once everybody is motivated, empowered, and just triggering those improvements and have them look at waste, it's so much powerful that if I give them the best equipment, you can give the best equipment to people. But if they don't have that mindset, it just degrades, or they don't perform as it should because there's not that culture. So I come from a very technical to now see that the power of a company is the people. Not that I did not think the people were important, but now that I know how to unleash their potential and develop them And by the way, it's the best way to have a great atmosphere in a company. As Rockefeller used to say, is respect is to challenge a person to the peak of their abilities. And when you master that, it's game over. It's game over.
So Alex, just to come in there, I love everything you're saying. You know, I start with people first, but organizational behavior is sort of my background, and I did that before Lean, and I fully get behind everything you're saying about focusing on the people part. And I love to hear that, you know, as part of your journey, you realize that. And I think it would be interesting for our listeners to know, what sort of behaviors did you stop doing, and what did you maybe start doing differently to implement 2-second Lean? Because you've mentioned the tools, and we know we need tools, but we don't need to focus on tools. So what did you stop doing, and what did you start doing then?
I think there are several things I would say, but one that comes to my mind is I was out more on the shop floor than doing meetings. I stopped doing a lot of meetings and tried to solve the problem with my people through meetings and analyses and graphs and data. So not that meetings are not important, but I really reduced it. So I would be in meetings all day long. So in a 10-hour a day journey, now I was spending, you know, maybe 8 hours in the shop floor. And so that was a completely turnaround. And of course, through the pandemic was great, because a lot of the meetings or visits were not happening. So it was a great moment to really launch and see if this thing really worked, right? So that's one of the things that I would say, the behavior that I changed. And when you are in the shop, in the Gemba, you definitely see things that you don't see in the office, right? You understand what's going on. The second I would say is I understood what respecting people really meant. And I mean, one thing is being respectful, having a good education to treat people correctly. That is one thing, but respecting people in the sense of breaking that vicious circle that you don't want to give the people on the shop and they don't want to give back. So this is where I understood that the famous restroom or lunchroom conditions are so important as a dojo or a training ground for everyone to understand where you want to go. So when we started improving our restroom, that was a behavior that broke all paradigms. Started to change from having a not so nice restroom just because we did not take care of it. We offered a nice restroom, but through the years it went down, even though we had janitors cleaning it and so forth. So we got rid of the janitors. We started improving. We started unlocking all the consumables. And every time we would improve something in the restroom, because every day there's something to improve. If it's not painting, if it's improving the lockers, if it was putting music, if it was putting visual management, if it was having some more consumables, it was standardizing the chemicals, everything started getting nicer. And so that circle of trust that we give the operator, we give the team member a dignified place to eat, a dignified place to have a restroom, then they say, well, I'm going to give back to the company. So as long as you start breaking that circle and opening the trust, you can do marvelous things. And if there's trust, there's respect. And if there's respect, you can do anything, because any improvement that has no respect, it will fall down, right? So when we did that, that was a big behavior that we start doing, is really focusing on having great conditions for our people. I would say exceptional, sometimes maybe provocatively exceptional, where that's the intention, is to show them that we truly care and that we want to make a change. And that I was part of the team cleaning the restroom, and they would not understand how a VP of operations comes here and is cleaning the restroom with us. And they understood that not everybody has the same responsibilities, but we're on the same page of where we're going as a company. So those kind of actions that I have taken really started bringing everyone in the same culture frame.
Wow. I love that, Alex. I love what you just said, especially the fact that you didn't say that we decided that we were going to improve everything in the entire factory or on the entire site at once. You know, honed in one area, and you picked the locker rooms and the restrooms, and then obviously including yourself in that is just unheard of, right? But obviously has had an you know, a massive impact on the culture. So that's exciting. For those that are listening in that don't know what 2-second lean is, I do want to hear more about your story, but I also want to make sure that for those that are listening that have never heard the term 2-second lean, or, you know, don't know Paul Akers, can you just give maybe just a real quick snapshot of, you know, what is 2-second lean? What's the thought process behind it? How does it work exactly? And why 2-second lean? How does that compare to like the Toyota production system, or lean as we know it in the US or in other places in the world? Can you just give us a little bit of an overview?
So the 2-second lean is the name of the book from the author Paul Akers, as you know. And what Paul Akers was able to do is figure out what Toyota was doing and reduced it to a very simple terms and different routines that he mentions in the book, so we can all understand it. So anyone in the organization, from the CEO to someone collaborating, assembling parts in the shop floor, can understand this book. And it's all based on looking at waste, developing your people to see the waste, respecting people and the whole team, and just doing improvements every day and sharing them. He invites you to just run experiments. It's so simple as that. That's it. That's what it, in a nutshell, that book really taught us to do. Now, I just remember right now, at the time when we started, one big, another big change we did, and I probably started with that, was a lean, or not a lean, but it's a learning club. We called it a learning club. So I remember Paul telling me, just get a handful of people, so less than 5, that you really trust in your organization, where you want to do that change, that are positive, that are the 2% givers, as he called, and do a little bit of chat, read the book together. And so we called it, we didn't want to call it a book club, because when you start saying a book club, people would roll their eyes like, oh my God, here we go again. So we just said learning club. We brought some snacks and we were just having fun. And it was an Alex teaching, which was very important. I understood it had to be a, let's say, a community of sharing. And that really helped us to put the ground of the culture we wanted just by reading books. We have dozens of books already in our experience here with the Learning Club, but that really helped us to say, okay, we read this book, this chapter, this podcast, whatever it was that we were sharing, and we would, as a team, say, what can we bring from that? How do we apply that in our team? And so that's how you build the culture of continuous improvement, just by starting from the leadership, you know, because you need to have the same kind of vocabulary, the same mindset to be able to deploy. Because if you don't have that, it's just Alex trying to push some culture, and it's not going to work. So when you have that culture already embedded in a small team that you can start deploying, then it really made a big difference. That was another big, let's say, thing that we changed the way we approached lean.
Everyone literally on the same page of the book, but in thinking as well. That's brilliant.
Love it.
Can I ask another question then, Alex? So we get the sense of what 2-second lean is all about, you know, these small incremental changes, but every day, all the time. And you mentioned earlier, it sounds simple, but when you dive into, I suppose, the nuts and bolts of what has to be in place to make that happen, it's not so simple, because there's so much people have to understand about leadership and working with teams, and, you know, treating people properly, as you said, building up respect and trust and all of those things. So, I mean, is it something, was there something else that the group of leaders, as a group of leaders, did you have to engage in any sort of training together aside from the book club and I won't, whatever, it's not the book club, aside from the reading books and trying to get on the same page, was there anything else to, not just you maybe, but all the other leaders in the organization? How did you engage all of those to get on that page with you and think the same way you do?
Very good question. So we definitely started in one company that I had influence on because I was managing the operation. And that's where you start. And I very quickly understood two things, is that you cannot push this to anyone, that this is a pull system. This means they need to come and look at what we've done. So we did basically a laboratory of excellence where people would look at the company and say, this shop really is nice. And when they talked to the people, they understood that this is not normal. This was really unique. People were excited. People wanted to show their improvements. So when they visited the plant, they really wanted to have that as well in their plant. So it's easy to deploy when people see something that they like, right? I cannot PowerPoint my way in to lean. I understood I needed to show an example. And that is for even the internal team, when they saw that you are involved and you are engaged and you are in the shop floor. If it's important to you as a leader, it's important to the rest of the organization. That's as simple as that. But if they don't see you, you're not shoulder to shoulder, doing some improvements and asking the right questions in the shop floor, then it's not important. Then why should they do it? I think that was the key. Just an example that can really drive the need of wanting that. And not everybody is, as a leader, is really wanting to do that, right? Especially in a bigger organization. The bigger it gets, there's a lot of changes. And it's really hard, because if that person is not 100% convinced, don't waste your time. It's not going to happen. I have learned that. And the second thing is, in bigger organizations, there's a lot of movement of people. So lean is a long-term strategy. It's not something that's going to give you results right away, but when it starts giving, it really is amazing. But there needs to be a continuous, let's say, culture passed on from one to the other. And sometimes we're probably not good at that. And when they change people, well, the culture kind of fades away.
Hey everyone, I am sorry to interrupt this episode of the Lean Solutions podcast, but I wanted to take a moment to introduce you to our company, Lean Solutions. We exist to empower and equip people for positive change. We do this through our 3 pillars, which include training and development, coaching and consulting, and talent solutions. Whether you have specific areas for improvement, or you're not really sure where to start, we can build tailored solutions and provide resources to meet your needs. Send us an email at office@findleansolutions.com to begin your journey towards transformation. Now, back to the show. Yeah. I have a question just based on everything that you've been talking about, specifically in regards to your position in the company. So you are a VP, so you're an executive leader, top management at a fairly large global company. And so my question is, specifically to the time that you're able to commit to this. I know you kind of hit on this briefly, but normally executive leaders in companies, a very small percentage of their time can be dedicated to something like this. And it sounds like you've committed quite a bit of your time, and you've shown that dedication through actual participation, not just proclamation, but actually participating. For those executive leaders out there that are listening in, I mean, how do you do that at a large company where you have all these other responsibilities and things? How do you take the time and commit it to something like this? Again, you're on the schedule for cleaning the bathroom in rotation. I mean, how do you do that and keep up with all of the other responsibilities that you have at the company?
So today I'm not any longer VP, but I moved on to be a director of I'm building a new plant for the group. But it doesn't matter. I can apply lean in the construction, and it's amazing. You can do it anywhere. We've applied it in R&D, we've applied it in sales, and so forth. But to answer the question, which is a very good question, I needed to know that this thing worked. And I understood that I needed to be the head guiding and pushing this by example, right? So there was no other alternative than being here every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning when the first shift started. So I woke up at 4, and normally for an executive, you arrive at 8, 8:30-ish, and so that's something that you have to be willing to do. You need to sacrifice and know where the important time of your day is going to be. And for me, it was very clear. It wasn't in meetings, it was on the shop floor. And through a whole year, I was there every morning at 5 when we did our morning meeting, which is part of a routine that 2-Second Lean also recommends to build the culture. And it's all about developing the people. And so you have to be there engaged in case there's questions, in case there's, you need to see if they're going a different deviation. And you cannot see that in an office. And you cannot see that if you arrive at 8 o'clock or change the time of the meeting. But I had to compromise and say, okay, I'm going to do this. But I can tell you, Patrick, that after 3 months, I started to see some difference. And in 6 months, I was definitely having more time in my hands to do other things. So I was chasing a rabbit trying to solve problems, but I wasn't really solving the problem. I was just putting band-aids. And when I have everyone on the same page, people that say, I don't have time for this, that's why you don't have time, because you don't have the culture, the mechanism that is helping you get better and better. You're just trying to solve the next claim that you have, or the same problem, or the person that just left, and it just, you're chasing a rabbit back and forth. And you have to dedicate the time. If you really want to change, you need to be committed to be out there and do that with a team. That's just, there's no other way.
It reminds me of something I was told once. Okay, as managers and leaders, we should spend most of our time proactive working, really. We want to cut out the reactive working, but most of us, are in jobs where it's all reactive. There's a lot of that out there. The only way to stop that is to stop the reactive working and start the proactive working. And that's how you stop the reactive working. So that what you're doing is that exactly. And you're just really diving into the proactive piece and looking at the opportunities for improvement. And it's a just do it approach. And I love it. It's amazing. It's brilliant. It's so cool.
And Catherine, that's where many of the managers have a hard time. Yeah. It's really hard to understand that you need to stop to go faster, that you need to stop to improve. And so that's something that we have been embedded, that you have to run through lunch, for example, right? Which you might have to, and it might be valid, but you really need to show the people, show the team that if there's a problem, fix it. Don't wait until there's another problem and then another problem, and it adds up and they never have time. They don't have time because they leave the problems pending. It's really hard for really management sometimes to understand that, but when they get it, they run with it. That's, I think, the biggest issue that I have confronted, is giving the time and tools to the people to really go ahead and improve. Just let the leash go out and let them do what they need to do. People know what they need to do, but they always have been worked in a atmosphere of a little bit of fear, I would want to say. If you try something, you get slapped, or someone's going to make fun of me, or it might not be a cool thing to do. So here we are developing people where they want to improve. They come out of their shell, and they're not afraid to say, I tried it 10 times, and this one is the one that works, and share it. So yeah, definitely that is one of the hardest parts to do, is to stop and fix. there's always the sense of there's no time. We must go on.
And I'm just so curious, what about then, I don't know, traditional ways of doing lean throughout the years, whereby we stop for so long that we get nothing done, as you mentioned at the start, the use of the tools and how it can actually slow you down. What about the whole approach to, let's say, problems that go deeper, that can't be resolved right there and then? How do you manage that? So do you need another approach to complement 2-second lean in terms of the plan, do, study, act, and all of that, and your collaborative problem solving? Are you blending that with 2-second lean?
Absolutely. I mean, that's why the tools are there. If it requires a special team with different members of different departments, maybe okay. But you see, the thing is, we've always improved through these teams with the tools, and we threw very smart engineers and people that know, and they all collaborated. People want to help and want to improve. But the thing is that if you go back to that same problem, to that same location, 6 months after, you could see already it's going downhill. Why? Because it was just driven by tools, and you can fix stuff like that, but is it sustainable? Is it going to stay or even improve? And the best way to keep something from falling is improving it every time. So if you have the culture, then you do any tool and they're going to even improve whatever you come up with. But if there's no culture, then we were thinking that by doing all these activities, we're going to do a culture. And it's the opposite. First, you do the culture and then you do all these activities. But yeah, we have all our big manual full of tools. We are using them. But now we are thinking, is it waste, or do we really need that tool in this scenario? And we pick the right tool, because the tools are great, but which one do you use, and do you need to use it?
Yeah. And I'll just kind of piggyback on that question and those comments, Alex. So with that said, are you using like leader standard work, or how are you structuring the activities and the tasks that are creating the culture, like Gemba walks and problem solving and coaching and certain types of training and things? I mean, do you have a management way that's kind of laid out as a framework, and then you have leader standard work that's helping to create the structure, or what is that whole framework?
So we definitely have a university in the group, and we have a development program for everyone in the organization. So we follow that. Not only we follow, but now we are part of involving the 2-second lean culture into this training. And there's all kinds of training, right? There's safety, there's quality, there's 2-second lean, there's so many things. So it is structured, but now we have time to let people go and do the training, right? And guess what? Now the people that go to this training, they're open to share, and now they're even enriching their training because they're challenging some things, and they are trained to challenge standards. If that standard or that training is not complying with what they think, and so it's really creating a great dynamic to be able to move on. Some trainings were obsolete, but that's what you want. You want to progress. You want to improve. So there is a structure on that sense of training. We also have routines. So we have a routine of the morning meeting. We have a routine of going into a Gemba walk. And I think that routine is super important, is to get everyone out in the shop floor and asking the right questions. The Socratic method is something that I did not know much about, but when you take it into the practice, it is so powerful and so respectful for people. How do you feel if I ask you to do something instead of saying, Patrick, what do you think we should do here to be able to increase the safety of this location? But if I say, Patrick, please put your gloves and put the lock over there, then it becomes an order, right? But by having questions, you're always trying to elevate the thinking of the team into thinking, because most likely I thought of 1 or 2 things, but they come up with even more. So they really know all the different possibilities, and boy, was I wrong. by thinking always as an expert that I had the solution to the problems. And when I ask the questions, you should see the simplest solutions they come up with. And as engineers, we would like to complicate and make everything expensive. So that definitely, that's something that sequence, that routine to do Gemba walks. We have obviously the improvement time. We give them 30 minutes to improve, 30 minutes for the morning meeting. Then there's a structure of different meetings that go on throughout the day and throughout the week. So first is the morning meeting. Then there is another one, which is a handful of people that manage a company, right? Manage a plant, let's say. So they can fix the problems that were not able to be fixed or addressed through the day before. And then a more management meeting of a higher level. If they cannot fix it, it gets elevated. So there's a structure where you're giving really the power to the shop floor to fix. And if they cannot fix, they might need help at the different levels. And so that is going on constantly, and is very very nice to see how. I remember as a VP, I really did not get any problems very soon at my level because they were fixing the problems. I mean, they had the power to take decisions, unless it was a higher thing like an investment needed, or bringing someone from the outside or from corporate or other plants that can help us to fix an issue, or IT or things of this nature. I would get involved, but if not, they knew what they needed to do. So those kind of structures are in place, and they are important. It's not only 2-second lean that's going to take care of the whole thing. Another big important part was maintenance, which the culture from 2-second lean helped us, because now we had people engaged in doing the preventive maintenance on each machine. So when we give them 30 minutes of improvement time, our operators, our members of our teams that had equipment at their responsibility, were able to do 15 or 16 different checklists on their equipment, and are able to say, there's a problem with my machine. They would open a ticket, and then our capabilities of our equipment and time available went up to the roof. So having that culture of understanding that by doing these little tasks in their equipment are so important to be part of the whole team. But if there's no culture, then maintenance becomes one guy over there in that shop, right? The maintenance team. It's like safety, right? We improve safety quite a bit, but we came from the mindset of there's a safety expert, a safety specialist, right? That is the manager of safety, and she's the police. So we gotta be careful. Instead, now with that lean culture, we become, well, that is wrong, and I'm gonna go and fix it. I'm not gonna wait. If I can't fix it, I'm gonna ask for help. And I have my morning meeting, and I have dialogue with all the Gemba Walk managers that come along. I need help with this, I need help with that. Things were getting done. So it's really rewarding to see that when you empower and you give the time to fix, all these issues go away from quality, safety, and just productivity comes by itself, for sure.
That's amazing. So, Alex, for people, managers who are in organizations at the moment, who are struggling a little bit with culture, let's say, and there's maybe conflict and it's unhealthy, and there's resistance to change through nobody's fault and everybody's fault, and it's just there and it's happening, and it's very hard to embed something like lean or make changes or improvements because of the culture. What advice would you give, to in the next, you made a very quick turnaround, which is so impressive. What advice would you say to those managers who are struggling at the moment, for the next maybe 1 to 2 years? What should they focus on to really turn the culture around?
I think many times we're waiting for others to change. We're waiting for upper management to tell us, and they're going to bring the change. And it's in our responsibility to do what we can in our area of control. And it really makes an effect, like a domino effect. If you improve, we even started inside one of the plants, time, I had 3 or 4 different plants. And inside the plant where we started here in Houston, we started in a little corner. We didn't start the whole plant. It would have been a chaos. It would have been a riot. And that little area soon started to add another person, another little team. By the end of 3 months, we had the whole plant participating in a morning meeting and a 3Sing event every morning. And so you have to start small. My recommendation is to start small and do the best possible with that small team, with that person, or by yourself, and show what you can do by improving and by developing yourself.
And work with the team. Don't expect them to do it, but start small with the team is
absolutely. Don't wait for help to come from I don't know where. You can do the change. Don't wait for others to take control of your life. You have to just do it. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but start doing it, and it makes a difference to the rest of the people. Again, it's a pull system, not a push system.
Mm-hmm. Alex, what would you say in the last 3 years of doing this? What would you say was your greatest challenge in whether it be culture change or deploying the tools, or I don't know, what would you say would be your greatest challenge, or your top 2, or whatever it might be, some of your challenges?
So in my area of control was really not a problem because I'm convinced of it and the team sees that it's important to you. It's when you try to deploy and have others enjoy the benefits of lean, that's where it's a big challenge. And the big challenge is because, let's be honest, it's not for everyone. And the mindset needs to be there to be open enough to see something that is good and make the question, why is it running good? And wanting to do that. But there's a lot of egos many times that we do not want to see that, and we think that we know better or how to do it. I was the first one that I knew that I made a mistake for 20 years. I did not know how to unleash the potential of my team. And I had to understand that what I was offering was not working, or not at 100%, where now the potential of people are visible and they're thriving and they're happy. So I think that's the biggest challenge is having people open to try it. Just give it a try. Because when you start to see the results and the empowerment of the team thriving and doing great things, it's overwhelming in a positive way. And Patrick, this is why I always tell everyone, find the 2%ers. Those people that have come to me and say, I want that, Alex. I will teach them everything that I know so they don't make the mistakes I did. And those are the teams that have successfully implemented 2-second. And I understood also that those that just don't want to, don't even try to push it, because it will not work. Let it be and wait for the right moment for the right person to come along, because the 2%ers need to be the leaders. You cannot have everyone being 2%. That's not even possible statistically, right? But you do need leaders that are part of that 2% that understand the value of it and how it works. And that's just, we call it 2%ers because it's only 2% of people that see it really run with it. And so when you detect that talent that really wants it, give them everything you have for them to run with it, and they'll be successful. And then just hope that in another place, sometime, with so many changes that go on, maybe another 2%er will come, and it's better than nothing, right? So again, we cannot control everything, but where we do have control, we should help other people because it is very rewarding. And by the way, when you are teaching and giving to others, you learn so much more and you grow so much more than doing it for something in return, right?
so true. Yeah.
So I want to bring this full circle around, Alex. Unless Catherine, do you have any last questions before I ask my last question?
No, you go ahead, Patrick. Go ahead.
Okay. So in the beginning, when you were telling us a little bit about your introduction, your background, you mentioned that you went to visit a facility, and the manager of that facility, opened up to you and told you that that they were putting on a show for you, and that it wasn't real what you were seeing. How has that changed now? If you were walking that facility today, what would be the difference that you would experience, and what's the difference in what's happening with the people that are working in that facility?
So definitely it's changed. Now that facility has changed management. I'm no longer managing it. The curious part is the people still want to do it. And I think management sees it and likes it, but you have to be there. You have to thrive it. You have to be part of it. So you need to be part of the 2%. But this is just to it's a great example that it's a lesson to me, because once I have put so many effort and time, you do transform people. Now they want it. They don't want it to go away. So they keep doing 2-second lean, however, at the level that they can. But the big question is, where could it be if the leaders that come behind keep growing it to a different level? That's what kind of hurts, because I for sure know it could be in a different level that would be amazing, but it's still good, but it could be better. And that's, I think, what we need to thrive, is to always try to be better. We should not conform just because we're a lot better than before. We should just keep it at that stage, right? And I can see that, when you see a transformation is when you see that the people that have adopted the methodology take it home. Mm-hmm. That's when when they start talking about their improvements at home and with their wives and their kitchen and their garage and with their kids and how they go to school and all these improvements, you understood that they have changed their mindset. They're calibrated differently now. And they're enjoying life, and they're enjoying their work, and they're happy. So that's how it is. I think the people that are enjoying themselves, and I don't think they would change.
Love
I don't
it.
have to respond to your question exactly how you expected.
No, that's great. I love it. I think that's a great representation of knowing that it's not only has lean been taught and understood, but it's been accepted, and actually people are internalizing it. They're understanding the value in it, not just as a show at work, because that's what my boss told me to do, but they've really internalized the fact that these are real tools and techniques that can make life better. Life, work, whatever it may be, this works in every aspect of our lives. And so I think that's pretty amazing to hear. I love the story. I love the work that you guys are doing. I'm excited to see and hear about your next transformation as you've shifted responsibilities here. But Alex, it's been great to have you on. Love everything that you're doing and continuing to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a link to Paul Akers' book, 2-Second Lean, into the show notes. And that way, if anyone that's listening wants to grab the book, put together their own learning group, and they'll be able to grab that book right in the show notes. Alex, if someone wanted to reach out to you with a question or anything like that, is LinkedIn the best place to connect with you, or how?
Yes, I'm in LinkedIn, and I'll pass you my phone number if you want. You can put it there, and they can contact me. WhatsApp is all I use all the time.
Okay.
So they can throw me a WhatsApp or a Voxer, and they can reach me with no problem.
Perfect. Well, again, Alex, it's been great to have you on. We really appreciate your dedication to your group and also to the lean community. So thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Alex.
It's been a blast.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Lean Solutions Podcast. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe. This way you'll get updates as new episodes become available. If you feel so inclined, please give us a review. Thank you so much.